Before you label yourself average, pause over the next 7 seconds. Notice whether these 10 quiet habits sound like you, because if they do, your mind is running far sharper than you give it credit for. First, you practice calibrated self-doubt, meaning you're confident enough to act, yet humble enough to ask, what am I missing? And that blend, questioning your own certainty, inviting better evidence, and updating your views, signals real intelligence, because it keeps you learning instead of defending. Second, your curiosity doesn't stop at interesting. You chase questions until they collapse into clarity. You follow rabbit holes, compare sources, and refine your search terms. Not to look smart, but to satisfy that restless why that refuses to be shrugged off. And the payoff is deep understanding that compounds over time. Third, you simplify your life to save cognitive energy templates, checklists, consistent routines, maybe even a life uniform or fixed breakfast, not because you're boring, but because you know decision fatigue is a tax on creative thinking, and you'd rather spend your best brain cycles on problems that matter. Fourth, you're ruthless about protecting attention, meaning you notice how your focus rises and falls with noise, lighting, apps, and people. So you engineer your environment noise cancelling here, a closed door there, notifications off, analog notes to create a mental runway for deep work, which is how complex ideas finally click. Fifth, you're precise with words, not pedantic before you debate. You ask, what do we mean by success? What are we optimizing for? Compared to what? How would we know if we're wrong? Because you understand that clear definitions prevent fuzzy thinking and turn arguments into solvable questions. Sixth, you naturally connect dots across domains. You see supply chains in beehives, strategy in chess patterns, design in biology. You love analogies and borrow mental models freely. And this cross-pollination gives you unconventional answers when everyone else is stuck in a single lane. Seventh, you prefer depth over noise. Small talk drains you, but meaningful conversations light you up. You enjoy stretches of solitude, not to escape people, but to hear yourself think. And that tolerance for being alone with hard problems is often where original ideas are born. Eighth, you teach simply. You can explain a tricky concept in plain language. You tailor your explanation to the listener, and you notice when their eyes glaze over and pivot. Because intelligence isn't just knowing more, it's translating complexity without condescension, which is a blend of clarity, empathy, and structure. Ninth, you're comfortable trading now for later. You choose long-term bets over quick dopamine. You'll study on a Friday night, save instead of splurge, sleep instead of scroll. And that ability to delay gratification is a quiet superpower that multiplies results in learning, health, and career. 10th, you treat mistakes like data. When something fails, you don't spiral. You instrument it. Ask what the signal is. Run a smaller experiment and iterate, turning embarrassment into insight and setbacks into a map of what to try next. If you recognize yourself in even a few of these, here's how to lean in. Feed your curiosity with a questions note. You update daily and resolve one item each week to build momentum. Protect attention with a focus window, 90-120 minutes. Devices away, single task, clear goal. Reduce decision fatigue by preloading trivial choices. Batch meals, schedule workouts. Standardize recurring tasks so you have more bandwidth for thinking. Sharpen definitions by starting meetings or journaling sessions with terms and tests. Define the goal, the constraints, and what evidence would change your mind. Expand your pattern library by cross-training your brain. Read outside your field. Study a new instrument. Learn statistics if you're an artist, and story if you're an engineer. practice simple teaching by explaining today's hardest idea to a 1-2-year-old or to your future self in a short voice note. Cultivate solitude without isolation by booking offline hours and then sharing one distilled insight with a friend or team to keep social connection alive. Make delaying gratification easier by shrinking the delay. Turn a 1-year goal into a 1-week deliverable and a 45-minute study block into 15 minutes to get started. Then ride the momentum. Finally, normalize iteration by keeping a tiny experiment log where you track hypotheses, what you tried, and what you learned, because written feedback loops turn fuzzy growth into visible progress. Remember, truly smart people don't feel like geniuses. They feel like relentless students who are curious, precise, patient, and playful. So if your brain does these things quietly in the background, stop underestimating it and start designing your days around it, because intelligence isn't loud, it's consistent. And when you align your habits with how your mind actually works, the results look a lot like talent from the outside. If you've just realized that even one of these 10 signs applies to you, something you hadn't recognized before, tell us which one in the comments. And share this video with your friends so they can share the sign they've just discovered in themselves, too.